Welcome to RealtyCast Global, where we bring insights and advice from top professionals in the global market. Join us for a journey of culture and real estate from countries across the globe. My guest today is Killian Reif, and from what I know about Kilian, I've known him for a while, he's a driven, ambitious real estate professional who embarked on his journey from Germany to Atlanta several years ago. He always had this idea about becoming a real estate broker in the United States, and boy, did he ever make it happen. Welcome. How are you this morning?
Thank you, Hugh. Thank you. I'm doing well. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, listen, it's a pleasure. I want you to tell the audience a little bit about your journey. And you began in Germany, actually. You were born and raised there. Bring us forward
Absolutely.
to Atlanta. Tell us about how you got from there to Atlanta.
Absolutely. So it started out, I guess, with well, my it's always been my dream to be a real estate broker in the United States. I was about 10 years old, and we were moving at the time. My family, my father, my mother, my brother, and I, and we were looking for a house in the mountains, about 2 hours south of Munich. Beautiful little mountain town, as well. I was born and raised, and we're waiting for that real estate agent to show us the house. She drives up. She was wearing a nice suit, you know, just driving a nice car. And I asked my dad, "Hey, what's a real estate agent do?" And so my dad explained to me, and sure enough, that's when the I guess the fire was put inside of me to be a real estate broker in America. Fast forward 10, 15 years, graduate university in Germany in Regensburg for real estate management. And sure enough, 2015 it was. Gosh, it's almost been 10 years. They came here to Atlanta, moved to Atlanta, and started a business, got into it. And of course, that's how we first connected at the East Coast office of Atlanta Communities. And
That's right.
you were extremely nice, so welcoming. And I joined the Gilliam team, and loved it. It was great. You showed me the ropes, the early stages, the beginning stages.
Well, and I tell you what, you picked it up very fast too. But it's more it's not about me, it's about you and what you brought to the table. I'll tell the audience here that I would see this young man come into the office every single day at a specific time, uh, had a suit on and actually had a briefcase in his hand. He would close the door, and there were, you could see there were glass doors. You could see through the door. I could see him in there calling, calling, and calling. He was calling people from a list. He kept looking down at a list, and he was calling people every single day. And one day I just dropped in and I said, "What are you doing?" And he said, "I'm calling expired listings." And so we talked a little bit more, and he already had postcards and things put together about him and what he could do for the client, for the seller. And he was sending those out to specific areas. And I was really impressed with him. So we had a conversation, and I tell you what, we got together, and things just began to bloom out for both of us. Actually, I learned from him, and he learned from me. In doing that, tell us about tell you came to Atlanta, you got involved with Atlanta Communities, and how many years ago was that? I can't remember exactly.
That was exactly 8 years ago, was
Has it
it?
been
Yeah,
that
8 years
long?
ago. It was wild, right? Eight
That's
years
good.
ago, I walked into the East Coast office and said, "Hey, here's my license." And who was it? Nicole Morris, I believe. She welcomed me. She said, "All right, thank you. You're now an agent with Atlanta Communities." And I remember it so vividly, right? I was walking in and I'm like, "Great." Got the piece of paper in my hand, and I'm like, "What do I do now?"
but you,
The
but
very first day.
you were a quick learner. You really were. Um, but back to Germany. Tell us, you graduated from what college,
University in Regensburg. It's a nice little college town in northern Bavaria.
and what was your degree?
I majored in real estate management, and then it was 2015, the summer of 2015. I graduated, and I had planned to move to Atlanta then in October of 2015, and I had a lot of time to prepare myself for what's about to, I guess, happen, like to for my journey. So what I did is basically I read, gosh, I believe I read 35, 40 books about how to be successful as a real estate agent in America. Of
Hmm.
course, real estate being a people business, you want to have connections with people. But so imagine you move to a new continent, you don't know anybody. You don't have any friends, you don't have any family here. And so then I got on the phone cold calling. Started cold calling FISBOs, for sale by owners, and expired listings. I still do it today.
I know you do.
And
I know you do.
yeah, and that's really how I started drumming up a lot of business back then.
What about the trip to, I mean, what led you to Atlanta specifically? Why did that stand
So
out
a
above other states and
Yeah,
cities?
so a friend of mine from banking actually in Germany, he had moved, he and I were working together for a bank. We were doing like a training program for a bank in Germany for 2 years before I went to college. And then he had moved to Atlanta in 2012, I believe. I visited him in 2013 and was just blown away by just that was the first time for me to be in America to visit the States. And he was in Atlanta, he was in Marietta at the time, and I kept on visiting. And then 2015, I uh, I packed up my things after graduating college, university in Germany. Packed up my things and came to Atlanta. Yeah,
So,
that's how I ended up here.
okay, so and that's good. I mean, you had a friend here that sort of helped pave the way for you
Yeah.
to see Atlanta, the city, and the surrounding um, towns in Metro Atlanta. What about as you at 10 years old, you saw that lady, you saw the real estate agency or the lady, and you felt like that you needed to be in that business. I think that's amazing that you saw her at 10 years old and had that spark about what you
Yeah.
wanted to do. Um, did you in Germany? Did you were you involved in any way in real estate?
As a matter of fact, I was. So, as I said, I was 10 years old and I wanted to be a real estate agent, right? And I always wanted to be in America. That has always been a dream of mine too. But then when I was working for the bank in Germany, I got involved in the real estate department in Germany for that bank, and I loved it. Just the fact of really connecting with people, not being glued to a desk, but actually making it your job to network, meet new people, go outside, see different properties, see different homes, see different houses, connect with new people, meet new people, and of course, kind of like help them find a new place to call home.
Mhm. I
I
see.
really I love that.
The initial
Yeah.
changes coming from Germany to Atlanta, and especially you had your broker's license, or I mean, your real estate license at that time. When you came here, you began the classes. So, what would you say were the initial challenges at the very beginning when you stepped through that door in East Cobb with Atlanta Communities?
Absolutely. Well, I would say the challenges, there were many, many, many challenges, many adversaries faced. Success far, far and few between every now and then. But I would say really the biggest challenge, while I was, able to communicate, of course you learn English in school, but the real estate, like specific real estate lingo, I guess, was rather new to me. Reading a real estate contract 10 years ago, I was like, oh wow, everything was new to me, right? And that was a challenge for sure. But I would say the biggest challenge that I guess, well, was such a big aspect of my entire story was just the fact that I knew I needed to make connections
Mhm.
in order to be successful in real estate. And that was the biggest challenge, basically cold calling, right? I mean, of course, you cold call today. Back then it was, I mean, pretty much the same, just going from no to no to no to no until you come to that yes. And I think like it's the biggest part or the biggest reason why people are successful in cold calling, I believe, is their mindset, right? The way they approach the situation.
Mhm.
Meaning you cannot have, I guess, thin skin, right? And you must not let rejection, get to you. It's very easy to, when you have a bad day, you're on the phone for 5 hours a day and everybody says, no, no, get a real job, read the Bible, leave me alone. I was cussed out, everything. I heard it all. And then it's very important to not let that get to you in the head to where then the next day you're like, I had such a bad day yesterday. People were cussing me out. I'm going to take a break. So you just must really, internalize the no's. And I mean, now today I get excited when I know when I'm talking to a cold lead. I get excited to just really get into it, dive deeper, and really try to get the meeting, try to establish rapport with the potential lead or with the potential client, and trying to really get there. So I would say that was definitely the biggest challenge.
So it sounds like you made a game of it. Like if I get at least 50 no's, I'll get a yes. And you're after that yes every time you
E-
get a no. So you're closer and closer every time. Um,
exactly.
so
Absolutely.
but it does it is it, you got to be able to handle rejection. I mean, I hate
Yeah.
cold calling. I hate to do that, but I think part
Yeah.
of it might be because I don't want to be rejected. But so I'm sure the question you got from a lot of different people, how are you different than all the other agents? What kind of response did you get to that? I know now, let me just say this. Now your response can be, let me show you my portfolio of sales. But
Right.
back then, how did you hit that head on and say, I'm different because?
Yeah. Exactly. Very good question. Right. So I would say really what set me aside or what helped me become so successful in the early stages was a tenacious follow up and follow through. I had absolutely no business when I started out, and so I was extremely hungry for business. Meaning, when I was talking to a potential lead and they said, "Well, you know what, we're going to try it out for 4 weeks. Call me in 4 weeks." I would consistently check in, follow up. I had like the old school. You remember my old school CRM, right? With
Yeah,
the sheets of paper written down, putting
I
it on
remember
a
that.
piece of paper, and um, and then really, because I was so hungry for the business, I followed up and followed through. And I remember after 4 months, 5 months in 2016, after I got my real estate license, I signed to date. Back then, the biggest listing of mine was a $1.7 million new construction home in Brookhaven. And when I sat down with the guy after the fact, after we sold it, I mean, he said he was impressed when I told him that, look, I mean, that was maybe like my fourth or fifth transaction of my entire career. And he said, wow, I had absolutely no idea because of the way I presented myself, very confident. Clearly in sales, of course, you have to be confident. You have to be
You do.
confident in yourself. That's where it starts, right? I mean, every salesperson, every successful salesperson will tell you that it starts with the way you think about yourself. The way you think about yourself, the way you perceive yourself is basically the way you present yourself to other people, and then other people will see you that way. The way you think about yourself is the way other people will perceive you in some certain ways. And I think that was really it that set me apart. Just the hunger for business, and then the tenacious follow up and follow through. And
Yeah.
nowadays, I guess after I upgraded my CRM after a few years, I mean, it makes things a lot easier.
Well, sure it does. It's better than the legal pad and the marking. Yeah,
That's right.
absolutely.
That's right.
Well,
You remember that?
makes you a little bit more automated today than the
That's right.
past.
That's right.
Well, I was going to ask you next question. I'm glad you brought that up. What about technology? How do you utilize technology today in your
Yeah.
everyday business?
Absolutely. So in the very beginning, when I first came here, I my dad gave me a loan of $10,000 to come to Atlanta and start the business. And for me, there was no plan B, right? I think that was also a big reason for my success is that there was no plan B. There was no falling back. There was no moving back to Germany. As David Goggins, I believe, talks about burn the boats, right? So you only have one way, and that's the way that you set out. And back then, I used that money to buy my first car here, and then there was not much left to survive. And then, of course, that made it a little bit harder to implement technology because the resources were extremely limited when I first started out. So that's why I had the old school CRM basically just put together myself. But then, of course, as success grows and resources start coming in and you reinvest into the business, that has also helped me to propel my business further, implementing technologies such as CRM, such as websites, very professional websites, partnering with other companies to do my marketing for me online, working with other companies that like referral companies, online presence, putting all of that together and utilizing modern technology has definitely helped. Yeah, and continues to help me today. Like every Wednesday afternoon, I try to make it I try to block out the entire afternoon to look at my business from an outside perspective, meaning like we as real estate agents, we wear many hats, right? We're the CFO, we're the CEO, we're the COM, we're every single hat basically, right? And so I think it's important to step back and look at the business, look at new technology that may help you propel your business further. For example, like right now we're in a very changing market, as you know, um, and so it's important to adapt and to adjust and implement new technology in order to serve your clients to the best.
What about the Atlanta market today? I mean, I just looked at numbers this morning actually because we're looking at luxury market, and I see that you know a year ago you could put a listing on the market, it was gone in like 2 days actually, as far as under contract, and we love those days. But as it gets harder, um, I've seen the luxury market from the 1 to 2 million and even up to 5 million longer on the market. And I realized they didn't go so quickly necessarily as the other
Yeah.
average, listing prices out there. But I noticed in the 5 million range, it's like up into, my gosh, 100 months of inventory,
Mhm.
something like that, which is obscene.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
so when you back down into that 1 million to 2 million, I think it's 5 months of inventory today in
Yeah.
Atlanta, not in Atlanta, based on what the FMLS shows us. So, um, how do you compete in a market like that with sellers? I mean, they know it's a tough market to begin with, but how do you show them I'm the best? You need to give me the opportunity. What do you do?
Right. Right. So of course, every seller mostly interviews different agents, right? Of course, I mean, as you know, there's in Atlanta we have 40,000 real estate agents.
Mhm.
So of course, competition is extremely fierce. And let's say you go on a listing appointment, you want to set yourself apart from the competition. You want to show the seller that you have the experience, the track record that you can actually sell a property like that. You have the network, you have the experience, the expertise to sell it, and you actually take the marketing of the property seriously. You have, of course, online presence, right? I mean, the internet is just where it's at. Um, Clearly, you have like a network of brokers that you want to utilize as well. You want to tap in. But I would say 85% of the time a property is being sold through internet marketing. And in internet marketing, nowadays every buyer is on their phones pretty much all the time, right? Everybody's on their phones all the time. And so I think it's very important to capitalize on that, such as social media, right? I mean, the rise of Instagram, Facebook, whatever it was 8 years ago when it really propelled forward. And there's such a huge market. Like we are able to sell properties off of Facebook very fast to where we have like a marketing campaign where we're targeting buyers or a group of buyers to where they would be scrolling through their news feed and then see an ad pop up of a property that they're interested in, like a listing that we just put on the market, and then we target them through geo targeting, and they get that on their newsfeed, like right there in their home. Of course, an online presence like that is taking it a step further to the previous years. The previous years, of course, as you know, like when the market was on fire, we had a inventory, as you just mentioned, like $1 to $2 million, 5 months. Back then, it was maybe 2 months, 2.5, 3 months, which was significantly lower to where you list a property. You don't necessarily have to do a whole lot of marketing because the moment it hits the MLS, the moment it's being fed out to all the websites online, Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, you will get hits, you will get calls. Nowadays, it's a little bit tougher. Um, and I think also what another challenge that we are facing as real estate agents right now is to educate the sellers on current market conditions, meaning many sellers, what I see personally in the business is that many sellers are still in that mindset of post-pandemic mindset, meaning we can ask any astronomical amount for the property, someone's going to pay for it. Not anymore. And so, right, and not anymore. So we have to work with the sellers. We have to educate them on current market conditions, the way the market works now, and then of course put an extra step, an extra effort into the marketing plan in order to, I guess, really set yourself apart from the competition.
I think one thing you've done, and we're going to show it in just a few minutes, your marketing of the house in was it Brookhaven? The clip you've got.
The video that I showed you was the one was a property we sold in Swanee.
Okay. And how much?
Mhm.
What's the price of that home?
Well, that was last year, and that was fantastic. We listed the property at 1,500,000, and we had we had 5 offers on the property, and over the weekend we had 30 showings, and we closed at 1.55, $50,000 above asking price.
That's fantastic. But the reason I brought that up, what I want to do, we're gonna cut in just a minute and let you go straight to that video, which shows the quality of marketing that you do. And I think it's also what you've done. You can answer this, but I think what you've done, you put your personality in with the marketing of the home. It's not just beautiful photos of the home, but you're in the home, and you have a great photographer and videographer, by the way, and I know him because I use he and his group with my listings. But I think that blending of the two helps you out so much, and for your targeting the market you're going after and showing you're the face of it, but yet here's the house also. I think that blend together really goes a long way. And so we're going to show that right now.
Perfect. Let's do it.
Hey guys, I'm Killian Reif. Welcome to 5805 Valentine Way in Swanee. If you love the house as much as I do, be sure to give me a call and schedule your private tour today.
Okay, so we're back now. What a fantastic video of you and the home.
Thank you very much.
And you said it took only how many days to get 50 offers?
So we came on the market. We scheduled coming on the market. Well, we did a coming soon campaign on Monday, and then we started scheduling showings Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. We had I think we had 35 showings lined up for 3 days. The sellers, they were amazing people that actually took out a hotel, the family, over the weekend, because I told them, look, we are creating such a huge buzz for the property. You don't necessarily want to be in the house when it's a revolving door of showings.
Yeah.
So what we did, we had the property open. We had the property open Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. 35 showings. We had 5 offers come in, and we were asking $1,500,000, and then we eventually closed at $1,550,000. No contingencies. I mean, just straight up. It
That's
was,
fantastic. Now, my
yeah,
my comments about you selling yourself and the property together, merging them together into a video, how's that been for you? I mean, because I know you get a lot of social media play, but do you
yeah,
feel like that's
yeah.
helped you take a step closer to, like, okay, I'm set apart because of this. This is what I do. I mean, they see you and they see what you're representing. Is that part of your business plan of marketing?
I would say definitely yes. As a real estate agent, of course, like you are the face of your company. You're representing, first of all, I guess you're representing yourself. You're representing yourself, and then you're representing the property. And then, as you said, like you put it very nicely, like those two things blend together very well to where it's me presenting the property while representing the listing and representing myself. To where then for future references, when I go on the next listing appointment meeting with another seller, and I show them that kind of marketing, that kind of presence, and then I believe we had like 45,000 clicks on that video, on different outlets where we had it up. And that really shows, of course, that shows a seller, first of all, they kind of like get to know me in a video presence. When before I go out to the appointment, I send them an email so they can click on all those presentations, on all those videos, so they kind of like already get a feeling, wow, this guy really knows what he's doing. I mean, clearly it's working out very well for him. And then this is kind of like how you build it up to the appointment. And then you sit at the appointment, you show them that. And so they first of all, they see how you present a property, but also how you present yourself. Because of course they want someone who's, very comfortable presenting themselves, selling themselves in order to sell their property.
So that brings us to this point. In 2019, 2020, 2021, 2022, and 2023, you've been the number one single agent in Atlanta Communities in town division
That's right.
for all those years. And I'm so
That's
proud of
right.
you for that. I mean, that's
Thank
fantastic.
you very much. I
I
I
saw
really
you when you
appreciate
opened
it.
the door at the very beginning of your career, and to see you come that far. People say, well, that's an overnight sensation. Not really. It took a lot of sweat equity to get from point A to point B. I know.
Absolutely. And you saw it, me being dialed in, right? Dialed in, punching
I,
the numbers, calling,
Dialing for dollars. I saw that. I sure did.
dialing
But
for dollars. That's how you called it.
so here's the thing. I want you to tell the audience today about. So we've been through some of these things. We've talked about success, but really the icing on the cake, the American dream, selling Atlanta. Now, how did you get that gig? I mean, I've seen it.
Absolutely.
I've seen it on television, and we're going to show shortly a video clip of that, so they can see you presenting Buckhead, which is in Atlanta, and I think you did a spectacular job. So, how did you get from
Thank you.
number one seller in town to the American dream, selling Atlanta?
Absolutely. So the American Dream is a nationwide television show showcasing communities, cities. They have it in many different cities all over the United States, and they're based in California. Where is it? Carlsbad, California. And as they were planning to launch Selling Atlanta, the producer reached out to, they had a connection in Atlanta, a mortgage broker. I forget who it was, but that mortgage broker is affiliated somehow with a broker in one of the offices of Atlanta Communities. They reached out to that mortgage broker and said, hey, um, we're about to launch Selling Atlanta. Who do you know? We need a few agents. So it's basically put together of 5 agents all over Metro Atlanta. And then everybody is basically presenting a piece of neighborhood, or like a neighborhood, and then ideally showcasing a listing. And then that one broker, the mortgage broker, reached out to one of the managing brokers of Atlanta Communities And because of my online presence, the way I present my listings through these videos, I established a name for myself within my company of Atlanta Communities. And then that broker said, "Oh, well, I know exactly who you guys should interview." They put me in touch with the producers out in California, and then they flew in town. We had a meeting. We had a meeting a year ago at the St. Regis, I believe, in downtown, and they were interviewing a few agents. And exactly, then they said they need 5, and I was one of them. And yeah, it was fantastic. It was streaming or is streaming on, I believe, Amazon Prime. It was airing on CBS and CNBC, I believe, and now it's an HDTV. And we had the very first one. We had 31 million impressions over the course of a month, and that is, of course, that's wild.
That's phenomenal. That's great. Well, we're going to show that now so that the viewers can sort of see what Buckhead looks like, but see you in action as one of the stars of the American Dream. So we're going to do that right now.
Perfect. Let's check it out.
Let's do it.
Here we are, immersed in the dynamic pulse and vibrant energy of Atlanta, right here in the epicenter at the iconic Shops of Buckhead, right here in Buckhead Village. I am your host, Killian Reif, and welcome to the American Dream. Buckhead offers an unparalleled blend of upscale living, featuring stunning mansions, high-end condos with panoramic city views. The quality of life here is truly exceptional, with high-end shopping and world-class dining. Buckhead is home to some of Atlanta's finest restaurants, where you can savor exquisite cuisine in elegant settings. When it comes to shopping, the Shops of Buckhead offer a premier selection of designer boutiques, making it a true shopper's paradise. I'm here with my longtime friend and client, Josie. Why don't you tell me, why are you and your husband planning to move to the Buckhead area?
Yeah, so for us, Buckhead is really a one-stop shop for everything that we do, from our lifestyle to the dog park around the corner. Obviously, it has great restaurants, fabulous shopping. It's very family friendly, it's pet friendly. Having my own event planning and PR business based here in Atlanta, it's a really fantastic space to bring out-of-town clients for business lunches or executive dinners, or just if you want to have a meeting over a cup of coffee.
I couldn't agree more with you. As a matter of fact, there's a house I'm thinking of right now.
Yeah?
I'd love to show you.
Let's go see it.
What'd you say?
Absolutely, yeah.
Come on.
Oh, wow, this looks great. I love this foyer.
Check out the floor-to-ceiling windows.
Look at all this great natural light. This is really nice. For me personally, I love a dining room, like a dedicated dining room. This is great for me. I love this.
Really love the mid-century modern, like the flow, the architecture, the floor plan. See this part right here, the way the kitchen opens up right here? This is, I would say, my second most favorite part of the house. Cozy living room right here, right? We got the gas fireplace right here. Pay close attention to the skylights. You see them? How again it floods the living room and really to complete the whole house with natural light. Check out the fourth bedroom in here.
Oh my God, look at this sweet room.
Right?
Oh, look at the disco ball.
Exactly, so
How
nicely
great.
decorated, right? And now check out the primary suite right here.
Wow, this is fabulous.
This is one of my favorite parts here. That combination between indoor living and outdoor oasis. We're sitting on almost 1.5 acres, completely private.
I mean, you don't even feel like you're in the middle of the city. This feels like you're in the middle of the mountains or something, and this is pretty incredible. You can sit in the pool and look right out into the trees.
Josie, this home offers you a unique lifestyle and a tremendous value comparing it to other mega mansions here in the area.
Oh, absolutely. This house is really spectacular. I feel like you get the best of both worlds here, right?
Absolutely.
You've got this tranquil, private space, and you're minutes from thriving Buckhead. This could be really perfect for us.
Buckhead's right around the corner. What do you say we go get a drink?
Let's go.
Thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, Killian Reif. See you next time on The American Dream TV.
What a fantastic video. I mean, again, you did a great job. You look like a movie star out there presenting. I love it.
Thank you.
I love that video. So to wrap this up, you truly, at 10 years old, you didn't know this, but you were charting that pathway to become a real estate agent or a professional in the United States, and that was part of your American dream. What a way to capture your American dream on The American Dream, selling Buckhead or selling Atlanta. I think that's great. I think that's a great.
Absolutely. I'm beyond blessed and of course extremely grateful to have had that. That path.
Yeah, you got a lot done, but you got a lot more to do. Let me ask you this. If you were going to be giving advice, and just, you don't have to go back through the whole 9 yards of what we talked about, but giving advice to a new agent just coming into the business, or to someone that's pretty seasoned that really wants more, what would be a couple of things that you would throw out to those people seeking help on which way to turn? What would your advice be?
Well, the first one, really stick to it. Don't give up. Whenever you face rejection, you will face rejection. You will have your best friend or maybe even a family member not work with you. That will just happen. You will go for a listing and you will think, wow, that seller and we just had the best conversation. You build rapport and you feel so pumped. And just to get the call a week later saying, look, we decided to go with somebody else. Stick to it. Don't let that don't let that discourage you. Don't let that take you off your path. Rejection is just a part of it. It is sales. It's a sales job, and rejection is just part of it. You should see every single one of those setbacks, not as a setback, but as a stepping stone closer to your success story. This is how I think this is probably the biggest thing, to not let a setback like that discourage you too much to where you maybe even build resentment towards the business and you're like, just stick to it, get over it, get through it. And ideally you want to grow through it, right? And of course, consistency, like consistently cold calling, consistently staying in touch with your sphere, that they know he's legit. Like he knows, like every 120 days I'm getting a call from him. He's checking in how he can help me, if there's anything he can do, educate us on the real estate market. And I think really never giving up, consistency, sticking to it, following through and following up is very, very important.
Yeah, and that is something we know and we understand it. You just got to practice. You got to put that in practice and execute that plan every single day. Listen, it's been a great time with you today. I appreciate you being with us. We didn't talk about golfing. We didn't talk about the Harley, but I'm going to give you 1 minute to talk about the Harley and how you sort of unwind with that Harley Davidson.
Absolutely. I mean, of course, in sales, when you're wired in, you're in your headset, you're wired in, you're talking on the phone. It's also important to have time for yourself where you are, detached from the whole real estate game. And a great way for me to detach myself, to focus on the road, is with my motorcycle. I got a beautiful Harley Davidson. Matter of fact, just last night I was out with the guys. You sit on the bike and you just have the wind, you have the engine, and you have the road in front of you. And this is some sort of quiet meditation, although it's everything but quiet.
But it's therapeutic, is what you're saying.
Therapeutic.
And also,
That's it.
you know what it prevents? It prevents burnout. I mean,
Absolutely.
any type of outside activity rather than just be focused all the time. And there is a time that you walk out of the office and close the doors. I know we have to be 24/7 on duty, but I think it's very important for the mental health as well as physical to be able to pull away and unwind just a little bit.
Yeah,
Every
absolutely.
day,
I think
or
so too.
at least every other day.
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Thanks for joining in on today's episode of RealtyCast Global. Make sure to subscribe to the podcast to be notified when new episodes air.